Live on a Wednesday. It's the 18th of June. Welcome inside the vault for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. I am Bobby Trossett. She's Sarah Ellison, and this one is brought to you by Baltimore County Golf. On the way in, if you could like the video, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Closing in on 25,000 subscriptions, and hit that notification bell and consider becoming a channel member. 786 Voltrons and counting. We've already got a couple new ones and a couple super chats that we'll get to in just a bit. It's a jam-packed one. You already know. Day 2 of mandatory minicamp. But Sarah, yesterday, Lamar Jackson, for the first time since the Buffalo loss, addressed reporters, and he was as animated, as rejuvenated, seemingly, as you will ever see Lamar behind a microphone. And as a result, there's a lot to discuss, including why this offense, based on latest news, latest Lamar thoughts, could potentially be that much more scary than it already has been since Todd Monken arrived a couple years ago. Aside from that, Lamar with a message to the Ravens front office, whether it's playful or not, about Jaire Alexander, the star corner who's available after being released by the Green Bay Packers. DeAndre Hopkins spoke. T. Martin, quarterback's coach, spoke. Do we have some concern on the table for the kicker position? A whole lot more coming up throughout the course of the next hour. It's great to see you. You've been running around this morning. We got a lot to get to, and let's get it started.
Football is in the air, of course, when you have just about the entire team at your mandatory minicamp. I think the only guys that were missing there might have been 2 that have injuries, working through some injuries. Other than that, everybody's in the house. How nice is it to go into that 2025 season? I mean, we got to get through this week, but the next time we get back together with training camp heading in, Ravens, knocking on wood, looking pretty healthy. And as you said, they're going to be plenty motivated because vengeance is on Lamar Jackson's mind. He literally said those words when he talked about, the early playoff exits. He said, they were talking about what do you got to do, how you got to do this. T. Martin said, yeah, we got to, do less turnovers and we have to finish. But overall, Lamar's very upbeat. He feels like they got it, and he's only can take it one day at a time. But on those early playoff exits, he said, we're going to bounce back. I feel like we're going to have vengeance on our mind. Now, listen, Bobby, I feel like we've heard this a few times because the Ravens keep getting, punched out of the playoffs earlier than we all expect. So will it be different this time? I don't know, but it can't hurt to have that motivation to fuel you.
Here's how it sounded.
Had a chance to win. It's football. Everything not going to go our way, man. Before it was like, oh, you can't win a playoff game. We won a playoff game. We got to the LC Championship 2 years ago. Then we just fell short, like 2 games short this year. But we're going to bounce back. And when we come back, I feel like we're going to have vengeance on our mind.
Yeah, so as you kind of could tell there, he snuck that in towards the end of the answer, and it was really related to what plagued them in that Buffalo loss. So it's funny, ever since the vengeance on our mind, right, that you referenced, that part of the quote came down, that's what a lot of the ESPN, the national pundits have focused on, right? And so, which brings you back to 2023, really, coming off the AFC Championship loss. So, reality is, yes, the postseason exits have been plentiful throughout Lamar's career, but I think that the team that they're about to field coming up this year has a darn good chance to be more powerful, more explosive than any other team that Lamar has fielded so far through 7 seasons. And that's certainly saying something because of some of the records that he's been a part of, some of the records that he's broke, some of the records that he's shattered, and the offensive units that they've put together in the different eras throughout his first 7 seasons.
Yeah, and Bobby, that kind of brings us in when they have vengeance and they come back with this fuel. Somebody else that's going to have vengeance on his mind is DeAndre Hopkins, and this is where we get into where this offense could potentially be even more scary if this connection between Lamar and Nuke continue to grow. If you listen, we've talked about D-Hop. We've talked about whether or not he has a lot left in the tank. And, he's in an offense where there's a lot of weapons, and it's going to be hard for him to get more targets than Rashad Bateman or Flowers. We talked about this yesterday. However, we also said yesterday, the only way he could leapfrog them is if he has an insane connection with Lamar Jackson. And Lamar This is the first time has really spoken since D-Hop has joined the team. And I think it's safe to say that so far, he loves this addition.
I'm just going to say that guy dope, man. He's different, man. I seen him. I threw him like a shallow today. He caught the ball so smooth, got up. Like, I don't even think he put his other hand on the ground to get up. He just caught the ball and just started. I'm like, bro, that's some vet type stuff, like some super vet type stuff. You know, it's just dope to have him, man. I'm looking forward to throwing a lot of touchdowns to him this year.
For our on-camera folks, again, Ravens Productions, not exactly in mid-season form with some of the videography. That was pretty fuzzy there. But anyway, look, the point is there's an early rapport here. To your point, to Lamar's point, DeAndre's spoken about. We'll get to DeAndre in just a bit. But as far as what Lamar has to say about a 33-year-old wide receiver who he's wanted to play with for years, right off the top, I'm just going to say that guy is dope. He's different. I threw him a shallow today, and he caught the ball so smooth. I don't even think he even put his other hand on the ground to get up. He just caught the ball and started running. I'm like, bro, that's some vet-type stuff right there. That's some super vet-type stuff. It's just dope to have him, and I'm looking forward to throwing a lot of touchdowns to him this year. And, Sarah, I would have to think that if there's an area, a metric that DeAndre can be the most effective, and not necessarily, I'm putting aside those situational type moments that we've talked about, like on 3rd and 4 when you need 5, right? Or in the red zone, or that 50-50 ball, you name it, or a matchup that you want to exploit because of his experience. I just think from a touchdown sense, like that's where I could see him being that red zone touchdown guy. His receiving yards may not blow you out of the water after 17 games, but if he's got 5 or 6 touchdowns and 300, 400 receiving yards, given the contract that he signed, that's a bargain.
I was going to say 500 yards, 6 touchdowns would be beautiful. Anything more than that would be even more beautiful. And like I said, if Rashad and Zay Flowers even build off of what they did last year, if Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely build off of what they do last year, if Justice Hill and Derrick Henry build off, and then you're adding back Keaton Mitchell, that's why this can be even more scary, because now you have a contested catches guy. You've got another veteran in there who clearly seems willing to coach and mentor and all of that. So, Bobby, when Lamar mentioned this catch that he said was super smooth and called it a super vet type move, I was very curious as to what exactly. I needed more details on that. And the guys on the lounge, the Ravens official team podcast, Ryan Mink and Garrett Downing, they were at practice. They were able to take it in. They gave us a little bit more detail on this play that seemed to blow Lamar Jackson away.
Yeah, with them. One was Mark Andrews, which that's never going anywhere. That's like no secret there. But also DeAndre Hopkins. I liked what I saw from him, getting Hopkins going in this offense and building that chemistry. I think that's off to a really strong start. We said the same thing coming out of the OTA practice that we watched previously with Lamar and DeAndre Hopkins. I thought today was just another really nice step for the two of them.
Well, and we heard from Lamar Jackson after practice and hear him talk about DeAndre Hopkins, it was evident how much he really likes that addition so far. And Hopkins made a sliding kind of one-arm cradle kind of catch during practice today that was really impressive. And there was another throw. It was just like a short to the sticks, kind of move the sticks throw that was a laser. And you just heard that thing just pop into DeAndre Hopkins' hands, and it just boom.
Didn't adjust at all. No wiggle. It was like just stuck in there.
Just like those strong hands. Like you could almost hear the strong hands on DeAndre Hopkins. So it's cool to see those guys really hit it off early.
That one catch that you referenced, the one-handed sliding catch, like that was a 3rd down play in practice, and that was right at the sticks to move the chains. It was like a 4-yard catch, but like those are the types of catches that I expect him to make this year. He'll have some bigger catches than 4-yard gains. He'll go over the middle, no doubt. But like the critical 3rd down, tough catch, one-handed grab, that's what he's here for.
Yep.
Like that's the type of play that the Ravens are hoping he can make, and that kept that drive alive, and the Ravens ended up getting in the end zone on that series. And so I just think that type of critical, tough catch is an element that he's going to add to this offense. And then even like, I just think it's good with Hopkins. He gives really good work to this receiving core, the secondary. There was at one point he was matched up against Nate Wiggins, and he beat Wiggins off the line for a completion. But like, that's great work for Nate Wiggins to go up against DeAndre Hopkins and one-on-one.
You're talking about like the slant. It was kind of a shorter slant.
It wasn't like a big play, but it was just like, okay, you want to go up against like a veteran wide receiver who's got all these moves.
Clemson on Clemson.
Yeah, get the Clemson connection.
Yep.
I just think that it's really good work for the secondary to have a veteran like that who's seen it all, done it all.
I think Garrett nails it there, Bobby. It's exactly what you alluded to. So not surprising that the play that Lamar is referring to, where he's just so smooth and catches the ball. It's a one-hand sliding. Not surprising that was a third down in practice. Not surprising. It's not like that's what we're talking about. We're talking about red zone presence. We're talking about third down presence, move the stick type of presence, contested catches type of presence. That's what he brings. And it sure seems like Lamar is loving it, and the connection is starting from the jump.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm willing to go great lengths that I think some fans are this week, in terms of maybe buying into the idea of him challenging Bateman for reps and snaps and targets. But I think that's okay. Like I'm okay. I'm at peace with being unwilling to buy into that. But what Garrett's talking about, these timely situations where DeAndre's savvy, where DeAndre's rapport that he's building in June, that'll be even more strengthened by the time training camp rolls around, assuming that they maybe might get together between the end of mandatory minicamp and the start of training camp. And then come September, that's going to be like clockwork. These two already are very familiar with each other's games. They're friends off the field. They've had a mutual level of respect. That small sample size, while it might be small, while it might be in that 500 receiving yards range, that'd be down from the 600 plus that he posted last year with two different organizations, Tennessee and then Kansas City. But if you add a couple touchdowns on that, you add the champion kind of pedigree that he brings. I know he doesn't have a Super Bowl title yet, but all the experience, right? The wisdom, the ability to win still and win those contested catches and those 50-50 balls, even if it is a small sample size. Who knows just how effective that's going to be in the entire hierarchy of the Ravens and where they're going. So I will buy in to the value that he looks to be bringing and still has in his tank at 33.
Absolutely. And T. Martin, as Jonas Schaefer pointed out when he was at the podium yesterday, he compared DeAndre to having receiving skills that are comparable to Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, which is because he's got a good catch radius and good ball skills. And T went on to say that he's the kind of receiver that QBs will, quote, love because that trust is there, And so on top of it, here's what's crazy is, or not crazy, but here's like, I think we're kind of alluding to that's like, it just fits so perfectly like a puzzle. DeAndre was asked about playing with Flowers and Rashad. And he's like, hey, it feels great to be playing with two good wide receivers. They want to be great. They're going to be great. And he talks about how high their ceiling is. But at the end, he said, we are all three different wide receivers, which is unique and cool. And that's exactly what you just pointed to, that it's like, Bateman is the younger kind of X receiver, smooth out route runner that's going to get open. DeAndre has never been this speedy, fast guy, and that's Flowers, right? But DeAndre knows how to use his big body and just get those 50-50 balls. And so it really is that they complement each other, and Todd Monken can put them in the situations that they are best at. And he can optimize each one of their skill sets. And what's nice on top of it, because the wide receiver position is known as the diva position, and everybody wants, more looks coming their way from their quarterback, Flowers has never been a huge one to complain. There's been a little bit of noise from Bateman before. Remember with the Eric DeCosta thing, just about, just more about like him basically alluding that he didn't have good wide receivers on the roster, but I think he was trying to like take a shot at himself in the Ravens drafting history. But otherwise, Rashad's, when OBJ was here, he didn't whine. It's not like it was a Deontay Johnson type situation or Eddie Jackson on the other side of the field. That's not who these guys are. And so when DeAndre was asked, like, what sticks out to you most about being with the Ravens, he said, shoot. That's my edited form. Shoot, the camaraderie. And so to have that camaraderie with these guys that are all different wide receivers, and then them having trust that Lamar will target them in the right situations, that's just good vibes going all around.
Here's more from him at the podium too, D-Hop.
He's a competitor at everything. I saw him in there, shooting hoops on the basketball goal, and he didn't want to lose. So that says a lot about him and who he is. Just little things like that, and obviously on the football field, if he makes a mistake or doesn't complete a ball that he wants to, he's hard on himself, and no one has to say anything to him. But that's why he is who he is.
Referring to Lamar, of course, who Sarah yesterday was asked in this press conference setting about the latest with a potential contract extension. That has been reverberating a little bit. There's been some rumors out there, or maybe there's just been some straight up concrete evidence from the Baltimore Baseball Podcast in their recent interview, Mike Bordick and Jerry Coleman, while you were out, with Eric DeCosta, who said as recently as just a couple weeks ago during the first session of OTAs, they have had in-person talks about this contract extension. Lamar is under contract for the next 2 seasons. The cap number is north of 40 for 2025. And then, of course, the way these deals are backloaded skyrockets to north of 70 for 2026. So not exactly optimal team building, which gives you a little bit of sense of urgency. But one thing that has not changed whatsoever, Sarah, he ain't touching those questions behind the mic. Listen to this.
Yeah.
How would you describe whatever conversations you've had with Eric to this point? And are you feeling any urgency to get something done on that front?
I never discuss contract situations here. But yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Is that okay with you?
I mean, Coach Arnold said, though, that once it gets done, you're going to be the highest paid player in the NFL. I mean, that must sound pretty good to you, right?
Jameson. Sound good.
Man, Childs and Jameson tried. It's a new year, right? It's been 5 months since you talked to the guy in this setting, since after the Buffalo loss. But that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. As animated, as playful, as hysterical as you will ever see Lamar behind a mic, maybe some of that has to do with the hiatus he's been on for the last 5 months. But that was Lamar at his best, as far as I'm concerned, yesterday.
For sure. He does it so politely. He does it with a smile. I don't talk about it here. Is that okay with you? Just one thing, just because I posted that video on Twitter, and I got a lot of people saying how upset they were with Jameson, that after Lamar respectfully said, hey, is that okay with you? I don't want to talk about it. He was saying that to Childs. And so a lot of people were upset with Jameson, following up anyway. I will say this. There's been some things that Jameson has written that I'm like, I don't know about that. In this case, I think he's just doing his job, right? He was trying to find a fun angle to kind of follow up. I think a lot of reporters would do the same when it's as big of a topic as the franchise quarterback and potentially becoming the highest paid player in the league again. And so they wouldn't be doing their jobs if they didn't try just one more time, and they were trying to do it in a fun and playful way. And luckily, Lamar was playful back. So I don't hate on them trying to do their job and trying to get a question, but I'm glad after that they moved on. They were catching the vibes that he wasn't going to answer. Now, do you have any more to say about that?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just these guys are trying to do their job. Could you imagine going back to your editor and being like, "Hey, we sent you out to find information on the contract. What'd you get?" And he's like, "Oh, he said he didn't want to talk about it." And they'd be like, "Yeah, that's everybody." So you got to go out and try to do your job for sure. But on the contract side, just a quick note, he's under contract for the next 3 years, if you count 25, 26, and 27. But you are correct in terms of these skyrocketing cap hits. I don't know when this is going to get done. It seems to me that they're trying to get it done before this season. I don't think the Ravens are in the worst position if they don't get it done this season, but I think, or this off season, Lamar has said in the past that he doesn't negotiate during the season. So maybe if that holds true, there's a bit of a clock ticking where they want to get probably the basic foundation and groundwork done now, and then maybe they can do some more in training camp when he returns again. Obviously, work can be done between those, but having Lamar in the building obviously expedites the process. And so either way, it doesn't matter. Lamar will get an extension. He will be the highest paid player in the NFL. And the Ravens want to do that. So, and I think Lamar wants to do that. I think it will be nice if they could get it done this offseason so it doesn't drag on and then there's more questions next offseason. But financially, they'd be okay if they didn't get it done until next offseason.
Another takeaway from the press conference was something that actually Lamar wasn't directly asked about. He took this answer to a question in a different direction, as others have throughout the course of this offseason as well, backing Mark Andrews. Here's Lamar, again, taking this kind of unprompted, backing Mark.
Last year, but got D-Hop, a new addition. And our guys ready, man. Got Bate with a new contract, got Lizzie, got Likely, got Mark, Mandrews. Can't forget my guy, man. My guys, I got to get on Mandrews real quick. That guy's different, man, because I've been seeing my guy be getting talked about, and I really don't like that because he's done so much for us. I'm off topic right here, but he's done so much for us and how people did him, I just don't like that. Because Mark's still Mark, Mandrews.
You mentioned this earlier, going back to it. There was a time this offseason where it looked like Mark wasn't certain to be back here. Is that the part that you said bothered you, and did you voice how important you feel like he is?
No, I just seen people trying to dog him on comments and stuff. But it's like, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of people that wish they could have been playing this game, and he's accomplished so much, for us, himself. So I feel like just let things happen sometimes, we wish we'd have won the game, I wish I didn't throw that interception, I wish I didn't fumble, I wish the mishap didn't happen, but it happened. It's just a lesson learned, man, so next time we'll do something better.
Jeff Zrebeck with the necessary follow-up there. Again, kind of Lamar, the leader, Sarah, on full display. Backing Mark, took the opportunity to do so. Quote, I really don't like that because he's done so much for us, referring to some of the noise that Mark faced. Again, nothing related to his future being up in jeopardy throughout the course of this offseason, and certain comments that were made in press conference settings from Eric DeCosta, leading you and I to believe that maybe he was a trade piece ultimately.
No, we didn't. That's not believing that. I mean, that he was on the trade market for sure.
There's a chance. I mean, maybe.
Maybe. Do we need to pull it back up?
Maybe. I mean, he didn't come. Eric never said that specifically, but we were led to believe that based on his messaging. Yes.
I mean, it's fairly certain that they were out there looking for a potential partner, and that's been reported as such too. We've covered that ad nauseum.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, English wise, in terms of what he said.
Yeah.
You have to jump around. You can't come right out and say like, "Hey, we're looking to trade him."
But right. You can't do that. Right.
Was absolutely suggestive, and we did cover that. And so Lamar said, "Hey, how people did him, I just don't like that. Mark's still Mark. I just seen people trying to dog him on the comments. He's accomplished so much for us and himself." Your reaction to Lamar's comments?
I love that from Lamar. I think it shows good leadership from Lamar. I think that when you're a quarterback and you have weapons like this, like publicly, you always have to have each other's back. And if there's anything going on, or if there's any mistakes, or if they, we've seen him at practice directing his players and all that, that's done privately. And so for him to come out strong for who is one of his best buddies on the team, who has been with Lamar since 2018, I think I think it's exactly what a leader should do. And then he talked about, and so I do want to, he said in here, Mark's done so much for us, right? He said, Mark's done so much for us, and he wanted to bring light to that. So let's bring some more light to that. I mean, Mark Andrews is on pace to be a Ring of Honor Raven. He is number 2 all time in franchise history for receiving yards. He's number 3 in franchise history in total receptions. He's number 1 in franchise history in total receiving touchdowns. That's just in franchise history. How about since 2019 versus the rest of the league and the rest of the tight ends? he's been one of the best. He's got the third most receiving yards in the entire NFL since 2019 among tight ends. He's number 3 among receptions. And he's, again, number 1 among all tight ends in receiving touchdowns. How about first down receptions? He's number 2. So it's good for Lamar to point that all out. Love that from Lamar. I do think this offseason narrative on Mark would have been different if Mark had shown the accountability that Lamar just did again. He said, shoot, I threw a bonehead interception. I had a fumble, right? And he owned up to that from the beginning. So I think 2 things are true at once. You can't throw away Mark like he's trash. Absolutely cannot. And at the same time, I stand by what I've been saying in terms of accountability, but then in terms of clutch play. And so, here's his playoff play drops significantly from what I just pointed out, but so does the whole team, including Lamar. Everybody's play drops, right? And so in 8 playoff games, he's had 29 receptions for 315 yards. That's only 40 yards per game. He's had 2 drops. There have been 3 interceptions for Lamar Jackson when targeting Mark Andrews in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson has a 48.9 quarterback rating when he targets Mark Andrews in the playoffs. And then, as we know, he's had 1 lost fumble. And so, to me, the reason why people think that that I don't know, maybe I'm trying to throw them away, which I'm not. I've always said, here's how I would change it. I would go to other people instead of Mark Andrews in clutch situations. And here's why. Here's Isaiah Likely's playoff numbers versus Mark Andrews. Obviously, he's been in 3 fewer games, and he's had a lot less targets because he's gotten targets as tight end too. You look at the catch percentage. Isaiah Likely 73.3 to Mark Andrews 54.7. 11.7 yards per target for Isaiah Likely versus 5.9 for Mark. Mark's got more yards per game, per game, which makes sense because he gets a lot more targets. So he's about 4 yards more per game. The quarterback rate, Bobby, when Lamar is throwing to Mark Andrews versus Isaiah Likely, 48.9 to 123.9. The drops, there's 2 for Mark, 0 for Isaiah. Interceptions when targeting these guys, 3 to 1. And then the fumbles lost 1 to 0. Then over at the right, you can see Lamar's quarterback rating for all of his targets over the playoffs, over his career. Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, Marquise Brown, Willie Snead, Odell Beckham Jr. all have higher quarterback ratings when targeting them over Mark Andrews. And so that to me is why I say in the clutch moments, I would like to see Isaiah Likely get more love, but that doesn't mean we throw away all the good to Lamar's point. But going forward, that is what I would do, is rely more on Isaiah Likely in clutch moments, especially in the playoffs.
You're not budging and I'm not budging. That's how it goes.
You would still go to him in clutch moments, which is fine. Yeah.
No question. Yeah. And we won't relive what was it, April? I think it was Easter.
Despite all the numbers in your face, but I got it.
Hey, but you set it up yourself. You said it was far fewer games and far fewer targets.
Oh, but I showed per catch.
I know.
And per game and all of that. Yeah.
It's a compelling case. I just refuse to go away from the security blanket. I think it's a small sample size, and I think Lamar is going to absolutely go back to him. Should there be something to exploit? Should he be open? Should it be the right route? And everything else that we've gotten into the weeds on this. So, hey, to each their own, right?
Yeah, and we'll know soon enough when it comes to contracts what the Ravens think.
Well, contracts though. I mean, you and I both think this is his last year in Baltimore, don't we?
Well, I don't know if it's his last year in Baltimore. I mean, it depends on what happens with Isaiah Likely, but I think they're going to try to sign Isaiah Likely to a long-term big deal.
Oh,
yeah.
we're locked.
Could it be that Mark Andrews is like, I don't want to leave Baltimore. I want to be that Ring of Honor guy, and I would take a smaller deal and all that kind of stuff. Remember, I thought Ben Cleveland, we both thought Ben Cleveland was gone, and then miraculously he was back. So I don't want to say for sure Mark Andrews is gone, and I would be happy if they were able to re-sign him just to like differentiate myself from those that definitely want Mark gone. I don't want him gone. I just want Isaiah Likely elevated. That's my position.
Hey, as long as the two-headed monster's around.
Yeah, we're all winning, right?
The entire offense is winning. And so I guess I just keep thinking to myself, if Mark continues to rise to the occasion in the regular season as he has all 7 years he's been in the league, even after a slow statistical start, still goes on to what, 11 touchdowns I think he finished with last year with like 500 or 600 yards receiving, which was way down, or maybe it was in the 700 range, way down from what he typically is. He goes and posts similar numbers. I just think he's going to have probably end up having to make a decision, either be that Ring of Honor homegrown guy all his career, right, and play that Derek Jeter life, right? One team, one goal and everything, or he's going to chase the money, which I don't think anybody would criticize the guy for.
No.
And somebody is going to pay him if that ends up being the case. And then they'll have obviously invested greatly in Isaiah Likely, and it will have been, he'll be a worthy candidate to do exactly that. So.
Yeah, and just to be clear, even if Mark Andrews were not to remain a Raven after this year, and I'm leaving that door open, I still think he's a Hall of Ring of Honor candidate, even if he left. I mean, how many people like Joe Flacco is still going to be in the Ring of Honor, even though he didn't play his entire career right in Baltimore. But if he were to stay, I think it's going to be hard for him in just this last year. Well, no, I think he could surpass Derek Mason this year, right, as the all-time receiving leader. He might be able to pass them in receptions. He's already won in receiving touchdowns. So even if he were to leave after this year, which I am not predicting, I think he will still go into the Ravens Ring of Honor when he's the leader in all those categories.
The guy is such a great candidate to do so too. I mean, man. Good stuff. Good start to the show. That was a lot to get to in our first opening topic there, but there was plenty to discuss, and we'll talk about Jaire Alexander and Lamar's comments on him that lit the internet on fire in just a bit. But before we do, this episode is brought to you by our new friends and our newest partner. That's the folks at Baltimore County Golf. They operate 5 public golf courses in the Baltimore County area. Courses like Greystone, The Woodlands, Diamond Ridge, Fox Hollow, and Rocky Point. You can play more and yet pay less with Baltimore County Golf. Consider grabbing a 3-pack of lessons from a Baltimore County Golf teaching professional near you. You can start playing more today. And how about Fox Hollow Training Center? They offer special clinics all summer long that introduce you to the game of golf and get you comfortable on the golf course. I know your kids are transitioning into summer mode right now. It's got you running around like crazy. Perhaps some of our moms and dads that are subscribers are entering that same phase. And maybe Fox Hollow Training Center, if you're in the Baltimore area, would be a great place to get your kid into the game of golf. And while you're on top of it, maybe this is just for you, the avid golfer, consider signing up for the Advantage card they got going right now. $40 is going to get you greens fees and golf shop discounts, 16-day advanced tee time reservations, $20 in coupons, access to twilight times 1 hour earlier than the general public, and loyalty rewards points on everything from greens fees to food and beverage. You can go to BaltimoreGolfing.com to learn more. You can also follow them on Instagram as well. We have their handle, we have their link, and everything else that you need in the show notes, and also as a pinned comment right now in the live chat. Special thanks to Baltimore County Golf for the continued support, and there will be much more coming down the pike on them. To Super Chats and Gifts, partner.
Let's do it.
We began the day at 786 overall channel Voltrons. Samuel Moore has become one, which brings us to 787. And Douglas H. Brown Sr., prior to the show, he's getting busy. That brings us to 788. Thank you, Douglas. And on top of that, Sarah, on top of the gift, he's given us a super chat as well.
What does that mean? I had to get in on the gift giving.
He always does.
Lost the G and a space in there, but I got it.
Always does. Always does. Colin Haney celebrating 1 month of channel membership. He says, can't wait for the season to start. Going to my first game, the season opener against the Browns. Hoping to meet you in person, Bobby, at the B-More tailgate. And we're still finalizing my schedule for B-More Around Town. Not sure if I will be there, Colin, for the home opener, but my plan is to go to some home, some away. So be on the lookout for what we end up deciding. Appreciate you, Colin. Chase with a super chat. It looks like we got a special occasion, too.
Because today, Chase's daughter makes 4. Happy birthday, Hazley May. Okay, he gave me a pronunciation thing. Kuluhiva, the only 2 Baltimore fans in your family.
That's awesome. And by the way, Hazley is a beautiful name. There's something about that that's just pure.
Yeah.
So happy birthday, Hazley. 4 years old. And thanks to Chase for the super chat.
That's awesome.
Chris Dixon checking in, celebrating 1 month of Voltron channel membership. Sarah, you and Bobby help my work days to go by so fast.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Omni King.
Bobby, what is this all about? You say it. I'm nervous. I'm saying something. I'm not saying that.
Omni King says, Bobby, get the meatloaf. This is a Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, I do like Napoleon.
That is absolutely hilarious. I think it's Napoleon Dynamite. Am I spacing out on that? Anyway.
I don't remember Napoleon Dynamite. They had a bunch of steaks. I don't remember meatloaf.
Hold on a second. Did I just totally botch this? Let's make sure we get this reference down.
So you might not know?
Oh, Wedding Crashers. I just
okay.
had a total brain fart.
I feel like I would have known Napoleon. That's right up my alley.
I had a total. Actually, is it Wedding Crashers?
Is this when he's
Wedding Crashers?
Oh no, it's not. Is that when Will Ferrell is like yelling up to his mom for dinner?
It's Will.
Like, Mom.
Yeah. It's absolutely
now
legendary.
It's clicking.
It's absolutely legendary. So legendary that I just had a legendary brain fart about it. But the reference was from yesterday's live stream. I had a little bit of an energy infusion, I would say, towards the end of the live stream that Evan actually sent me down because he thinks that I'm too hard on David Ajabo and Trenton Simpson. So, and then he and Taurus were it was all in good fun. It was good stuff. Okay. I feel like you're going to go back and watch that and judge the all out, living, what out of me. It's going to be hilarious.
No. Well, now that you just said that, now I might.
Oh, I threw on the theatrical hat. I was in pure theater mode. So hopefully everybody appreciated it. James Green has gifted us 5 channel Voltron memberships. So there's 5 new channel Voltrons as recently as 12/15. That brings us to 793. Thank you, James. Dre Dog checking in.
Evan said you were crushing out, by the way.
Probably.
Dre Dog says D-Hop over Bateman in my book.
Okay. Oh, he's been pushing that for a while. Tila with a 10-spot donation. That brings us to 803. So we've, for a second time, surpassed 800 channel Voltrons, thanks to Tila, who again brings us to 803. Thanks for the 10-spot, Teal. We appreciate you. There's over 1,600 concurrents at the moment, if you were wondering. Douglas H. Brown Sr. This was over 20 minutes ago when you or I were in the thick of our opening topic, and Douglas wrote, Bobby. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Bobby and Sarah, the run is starting, meaning the gift giving?
Well, because he wanted to make the announcement, the runway known that he was actually starting the run, or maybe he was just following up the run that was initiated by Tila. So 803 and another 5 from Douglas brings us to 808. And then Chris decided to match Tila's donation, which brings us to 818. And then Park Heights Profits shows up, and you already know it gets freaky.
When Park PHP is here, it always goes to another level. With that 50 super chat, he says, been missing the live vault. Work has been kicking in high gear, but all good. Glad to see S. Dot back with us. Is that me?
Mm-hmm.
S. Dot? Where does the dot come from?
I don't know, but I love that.
Okay. S. Dot back with us, and Bobby did his thing. I heard folks will be looking for me in Lot G against Detroit. Menu incoming. Maybe the pregame vault live from Lot G.
First of all, the Detroit game is going to be absolutely electric. Monday Night Football at the bank is what he's referring to. And I think Jang has actually been leading the charge, if I'm not mistaken, on Lot G outside the bank for Ravens Lions. So anyway, Park Heights Profit, it's great to have you back. I'm sure the CIA work, secret undercover work that you've been up to has got you busy. So we get it. We appreciate you. And the pink or whatever this is, pink, purple, maroon. I was going to lean more towards salmon. Can we go with salmon and meet in the middle?
Salmon? No, salmon's more orangey.
Salmon is kind of orangey. You got a specific color in mind?
I've got it in my mind, and it's on the tip of my tongue. Just keep
All
going.
right.
I'll come up
Well,
with
you
it.
work on getting that, and I'll just say we appreciate you, PHP. Thank you for the salmon colored, pink colored, purple colored, whatever the heck color this banner is. We appreciate you. Draydog679 says, just hope we see more 3 wide receiver sets on 3 sets one-on-ones. Just hope we see more 3 wide receiver sets one-on-ones. Todd Monken, paging Todd Monken. Rave Kingdom, Sarah, heard you, I think, call him out yesterday for his absences.
Yeah, where were you, Rave? Okay, maybe we'll find out here. Hello, Vault. If I ever disappear, it's because I'm in my own off season. I lost over 150 pounds in 4 months. What?
Wait a second. 150.
No. Did he say JK? Is that a JK?
No, I know it sounds impossible. No surgery, all natural.
Wow.
Over
No
100
like Ozempic or anything?
Wow. Okay. Rave, congrats, dude. Like, that's incredible. I mean, does that mean that you've been listening to us while working out and you just haven't been like in the live chat, or you just haven't been listening at all because you've been so locked in on losing weight? Whatever it is, congratulations. That's an incredible feat. Folks are commenting on your color choice.
Okay, but I've got a color wheel here. Can I share my screen?
Okay.
Hold on, we gotta bring it back up to get a match.
Goodness gracious.
Not like we don't have other news to get to here.
What you got for us?
Okay, here. Let's bring back up. Where was it? Park Heights.
Oh, okay. Let me get to Park Heights.
Here we go. Oops. Okay. Now, are we looking at maybe Mulberry? That's this one. Is that too dark?
Can you zoom in on
Yeah, let me try to zoom in.
the square? Man,
It's going
I don't know if anything's up there, Sarah, honestly.
Yeah, it might not be a shade of purple. It looks like
There's
it might be
nothing
in
up
the
there.
reds. What about this one right here? That one's kind of it. Can you see
Where?
my finger or no?
No, which one? What
Top
row?
top row, second from the right. Orchard. No?
No. The more I look at it, the more I fall in love with salmon. I don't know why.
Salmon. Let me show you salmon.
Yeah. You know, anybody else with me on that? Some folks are saying fuchsia. Ashley thinks it's fuchsia.
What
I've
if
also seen magenta.
that's not salmon?
Oh, but Sarah, on the right-hand side, though, of that square, the second square, I could definitely see
That's
the left-hand side of the second square.
That's too orangey.
That's there.
No.
Look at that. That's almost identical. Right?
Not even close.
No, I'm talking about, wait a second. Let's make sure we're on the same page here.
Okay.
It's the second square far to the left.
Second square, far to the left. That's close-ish, but it's still a little too pink for me. Like lighter pink.
Well, some people think it's pink. Some people think it's pink. Listen, the second square on the right-hand side, the closest thing we have is the farthest to the left on that second square to the right of what Sarah just had up there.
Yeah, maroon's too dark.
It's nearly perfect, God King. You're correct.
Look at grape.
Audio only, you got to come over to YouTube.
Okay, let's move on.
There is no way that we're describing this to our audio only audience for in terms of the difference in colors for what you just had up on the screen. Anyway, Rave Kingdom, congratulations. We're thrilled for you. Jaire Alexander chatter is coming up momentarily. We promise. Mike M continues the run, Sarah. We left off at 818 channel Voltrons, and Mike has decided to gift an additional 5, bringing us to 823 overall. We appreciate you, Mike, and that brings us to Woodrow the Kid, Sarah.
He says, my first super chat for the best duo, and shout out to the best flock. Hashtag Ravens flock, hashtag Voltrons. Thank you.
Very much so. Appreciate you. Woodrow the Kid. That's right. We have not seen that name before, and I love when new names pop up here. Welcome. Welcome. J. B-More56B. Sarah and Bobby, off topic. Will you guys be able to get talls when your clothing line starts? What are talls? Are you aware of what talls are?
Yeah, it's just made for tall people such as myself. I always need to be. I'm frequently in the tall category, like when I buy jeans and stuff.
Well, guess what, JB? We have a 2:00 meeting with our design team, so I'm going to go ahead and write a little note here. I hope we're going to have a bunch of different sizes, and we will let you know. We'll get on that with Carly. Thanks, JB. Nightmare Kilo, Sarah, continues the run on Super Chats.
He says likely has more touchdowns in the playoffs than Mark has in his 7-year career. Mark is a great player, but it's not just, quote, one bad game like some fans say. I agree with Nightmare.
Jason Zarotniak, celebrating 1 month of channel membership, says the Ravens are Lombardi bound. Book it. Bobby and Sarah, thank you for giving us all fanatical lunatics an outlet for us to celebrate our team. Hashtag Voltrons. Appreciate you, Jason. Congratulations on 1 month of official channel membership. You've been with us forever in the Patreon space. We appreciate you, and we always know you're here. Sarah, an orange banner. This one is not up for debate. Okay, this is PHP and Park Heights Profin dropping a 20 spot on top of his 50.
He says, I was sitting behind the bench in Buffalo and watching 89 after the fumble. I don't know how he was after the drop. Probably inconsolable. Still, should have faced the media, but dude might have picked up the podium and threw it.
CBS cut to him plenty of times after that drop. He was just kind of looking.
He was inconsolable. Like, he didn't even want to talk to anybody. Like, they came over to him. He ran to the bench, which is fine. He was like, he didn't want to sit, and cry about it. Like, he just got up and moved to the bench and had a straight face.
He was processing. I'm sure he was processing, trying to remain stoic, knowing that every camera in America was on him at that moment.
And Bobby, where we I know we disagree, but where we probably agree, you and I just both, this isn't just Mark, this is all players. If you have an impactful play, you should go to the media after the game, right? Like, we're both on that same page. Yeah.
Wildlife Wale says Mark was the number one option and defensive focus for a lot of playoff games. Likely gets far less attention as tight end 2, both of which are true. It's also true that in one of those playoff games, I think it was 8 versus 5 or 7 versus, no, I think it was 8 versus 5 in terms of the sample size that you pulled up there between Likely and the Mark.
Yeah.
I would argue that during one of those, which was the AFC Championship game, you have about a 50% healthy Mark Andrews rushing back from his ankle injury and was really a non-factor in that Chiefs game. Just context.
Oh, you're talking about in 2023.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Rave Kingdom for you.
He says, I'm taking playoff Isaiah over regular season Mark. Who wants to argue? Bobby does. There are so many videos that show Mark Andrews isn't clutch in the playoffs.
Well, wait a second, though. He just said, I think you would disagree with this. He's putting playoff Isaiah over Mark regular season. Mark's been a star in the regular season.
Yeah.
Mark's been everything. He's been the full package. If that's what he now, this might be a typo. I don't know what he's doing here, but regular season Mark has been an all-pro.
I'm taking playoff Isaiah over regular season over Mark. He says over in there twice. So, well, I will say in the regular season, also in clutch moments, Mark has not come up a few times. But listen, at the end of the day, whatever. I just think it's time to elevate Isaiah Likely.
And at the end of the day, it's going to be an awesome season-long thing to check on with our disagreement. It's going to make for I'm looking forward to it.
Well,
it's good.
No. The disagreement won't come until the playoffs.
Okay, that's fine.
I want to make that clear. That's why I haven't said most of our trade speculation over the offseason is about the messages that Eric DaCosta was sending. It's not like as soon as the season was over, I was like, trade Mark Andrews. Even when the trade speculation was there, I was like, I'm happy for Mark Andrews in the regular season. Clearly, he's there. But I think in clutch situations, go to other players. And I do think it's time to start elevating Isaiah in the regular season also. But if Mark starts going off in the regular season, that won't surprise me. I'm talking about in clutch moments and in the playoffs.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I have Horace Taurus, channel member with a super chat, says QB1 has spoken. Anyone that has an issue with Mark, take it up with Lamar. Mark's staying. Draydog679 with, I think, his third super chat so far today.
He says likely over Mark all day, every day.
This is from a few, must have been 20 minutes ago or so. Yeah. But Jang has gifted 5 channel memberships, bringing us to 828 overall. We appreciate you, Jang. Thank you so much. And hey, congratulations on your promotion ×2. We talked about that, I think, earlier in the week. Hopefully you're having an awesome couple days. And I know a lot of that with what's going on in the workplace is due to your generosity and just seemed like an awesome Optimistic person. Joe Jenkins, channel member, super chat.
He says, I pray that EDC keeps Mandrews and Likely together for at least a couple more years. Go Ravens and go O's.
WT. O's are on a little bit of a run, by the way. WT_edits. Z. I need to go to a game with my little sister this year. I'm getting hyped. Much love to Bobby, Sarah, and the Voltrons.
Cute.
Let us know which game you decide. Park Heights Prophet just drops a 20 spot. He dropped a 20 spot, Sarah, on top of the $50 super chat and the $20 super chat. That now brings us to 848 total channel Voltrons, and it sounds like 900 could potentially be in the cards. And at some point here, we're going to have to go talk about Jaire Alexander and put a quick little placeholder in this super chat and gift giving run. When do we want to do that?
You make the call.
Let's do it now.
Okay.
PHP, we appreciate you. We will get back to, we're going to pick back up with Dre Dog in just a bit and continue to get to all super chats and gifts that come in. We have received a lot of feedback, both via email and in the comment section on YouTube that I've noticed. Some folks are like, hey, what's up with the gifts? It's awesome new feature that you guys are doing, but we want as much content. We want to give you as much content as possible as well. In fairness, and really admittedly, this is a new feature that we're working through. We didn't expect it to blow up the way that it has in the last couple months. And so we will continue to make tweaks, and we appreciate your patience along the way. Like the video on your way in, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell. Sarah, perhaps the most talked about aspect, at least in the Twitter sphere, from Lamar Jackson's first press conference since, of course, the Buffalo loss, was what he had to say about his former teammate. Not former NFL teammate, but former college teammate at the University of Louisville. That's Jaire Alexander, and he was just recently released pretty in big fashion, at least in terms of the amount of publicity this move received by the Green Bay Packers within the last week or so. And then Josina Anderson, Sarah, came out later that week and said, hey, there were 6 teams that immediately inquired about Jaire Alexander's services. Up until this point, it's been a guessing game as to whether or not the Ravens were one of them. We'll get to that in just a second. First, Lamar, a classic exchange with a reporter on the Jaire Alexander rumors and a message for his front office.
Cornerback available. Have you gotten a chance?
Go get him, Eric. I love all our corners, don't get me wrong, but go get him, Eric.
Have you gotten a chance to talk to Jaire about coming here?
Yeah, I hit him up, but you don't know. You never know with Jaire. That's my boy, man.
You already know, Sarah. This one got plenty of run on social media.
Lamar is 1,000% pouring fuel on a fire that's been going on for several months because this marriage makes too much sense. Not only does Lamar pour some fuel on that fire, and I'm glad he did, but Bobby, a new tweet that the Ravens just put out at 12:52, which was 8 minutes ago, has people wondering what this is all about. But they said right up here, their own official account said, sliding to the Ravens, ... with a demon purple emoji. So everybody's wondering, including Zach right here, the first person that comes up in my comments is question mark, exclamation point, and a GIF of Jaire Alexander. So when I tell you that there is fire all over this potential marriage, and maybe the Ravens aren't referring to it at all, but given Lamar's comments yesterday that we just played, given what John Harbaugh said, that it wasn't an or thing, but an and thing, he likes his players and they're going to be looking at the free agent market. It just makes too much sense for the Ravens to try to make this happen. And it happens. Do you want to say something?
Wow, this is notable, right? This is awfully notable. I'm glad you were scrolling through your timeline. We both tend to do that just to make sure that we're giving you the most fresh content, up-to-date content as possible. But yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is pretty notable. You hate to make immediately the connection, which I think is what you were alluding to, right? You want to kind of be careful just in terms of how cryptic this is, but we're a day removed from it dominating the internet. It's certainly leaked into today. Everybody's talking about it right now in the Twitter sphere, and the Ravens could be leaning into that, or they could not be.
Oh, hold on a second. They just put up a new Shut up. They just signed him. Bring it up. Bring it up.
Are you serious?
They just signed him up here.
Yes, they
I got
did.
you.
Jaire Alexander.
I got you. Here we go.
Unbelievable.
Share screen. I got it right here. Boom. There he is. Signing an official Ravens contract. He's in the signing room that all free agents, that all rookies go into. You know, for them to put out a tweet like that, sliding to the Ravens, that something was coming a few minutes later. It wasn't crazy of us to think, wait, is Jaire in the house? Indeed, he is. Look at him. Look at him. He's got his arms around Lamar Jackson, Eric DeCosta. Eric DeCosta is beaming in this picture, by the way, for the audio only folks. And he's just like, what's up? Bring a Super Bowl to the Ravens. If this man can stay healthy, this is a massive move. And Bobby, how often do you actually have Lamar Jackson in that signing room? This like never happens. And maybe it's because he's at mandatory minicamp. Maybe it's because just yesterday he was saying, make it happen, EDC. When Lamar Jackson speaks, EDC listens.
Well, wow. Talk about out of left field on this one. Let's give a little bit of context to this in terms of how we just arrived at this ultimate destination. First of all, that Super Bowl or bust window, that window of opportunity that the Ravens are in right now, is that not understood and felt by all that are remotely involved with this organization? The sense of urgency is real. The Ravens understand that. Eric DeCosta and his front office understand that. Lamar, of course, understands that. You wonder if he had a little bit of an inkling yesterday prior to his press conference that led him to have a little fun with it. Like we just shared. We literally just shared that clip. Go get him, Eric. Well, guess what? Your general manager listened. Jaire Alexander is breaking news, folks. Jaire Alexander is a Baltimore Raven, a cornerback that was just recently released by the Green Bay Packers. The knock on him is his availability or lack thereof over the last couple years. He has not been available. But when he is, Sarah, we are talking about a player that perhaps is one of the most, if not the top cover corners in the entire league. I would have to think that at this point, Jaire's ready to chase a trophy. He's ready to reunite with his quarterback from college. He's ready to prove it, maybe not to himself, but to the rest of the league, that he can sustain health. We'll see what the numbers are in just a bit. I'm sure he's open to the idea of taking part in a positionless defense that we know that Zach Orr wants to continue to execute in Baltimore. And now, most importantly, the Ravens have a three-headed monster at corner with Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey, and the newly signed Jaire Alexander. Here he is with his former teammate. Lamar was the first. Of course he is the first to greet Jaire in the signing room. He's going to go take that Sharpie and sign the wall where everybody does as new Ravens. Wow. This is something there.
For the audio only, we are pulling up video right now. Bobby kind of describing it. Comes into the signing room. Huge hug between these two. Lamar's like, yeah, go sign right here. This is your moment. Look at that. Man. And remember yesterday, Lamar was asked, he's like, did you hit up Jaire? Did you hit him up? He's like, yeah, I hit him up. Here we go. Here's another video here. The three of them laughing right here.
Look at Eric.
Look at Eric. His face is like, he's just so giddy. But so is Lamar and so is Jaire, though. Hold on. There's more. The Ravens account is just putting it up nonstop. I don't know what he's saying right there. Let's see if we can. Hold on, let me do this again.
Yo, this Jaire here. I'm excited to be a part of the Ravens flock, baby. Let's get to this money.
Yeah.
Yo, this Jaire here.
I'd have to think that in terms of Jaire and his camp, can you find a more willing participant? This happened quickly.
Very quickly.
And what I was mentioning earlier on, and we didn't even have a chance to get there because of the breaking fashion of this, was this. Jeff Zrebiec of The Athletic, Ravens insider, tweeted about what we just discussed at the top of this segment, which were Lamar's comments yesterday on the Jaire Alexander rumors. You know what he said. I love all of our corners, but go get him, Eric. And he also mentioned, as you already said, that he hit him up as well. So Nathan says, hey, Jeff, in his mentions, have you heard any rumblings or rumors about the possible interest in Jaire? Josina Anderson said there were 6 teams who reached out. Any idea if the Ravens were one of them? Jeff writes back, yes. Yes, they were one of them. And Sarah, that certainly has lived to be true. Here he is, Jaire Alexander, your newest Baltimore Ravens. Sarah, there is a secondary now in Baltimore that allows Marlon Humphrey to do what he does best inside as a slot corner, that allows Nate Wiggins to continue to build off of what he put on tape his rookie season. And should Jaire Alexander stay healthy, that dude's going to be an outside threat for them. And we haven't even mentioned the likes of Chido Awuzie, their free agency acquisition, and Brandon Stevens' replacement. At least on paper it was. We haven't even mentioned TJ Tampa. We haven't even mentioned their 2 rookies on day 3, and Robert Longerbeam and Bilal Cohn. It is starting to get jam-packed. And now that whole thin at safety thing, that thin at safety reality with Ardarius Washington being down, it stings a little less at the moment.
Absolutely. We talked about this yesterday, Bobby. We said that they needed to sign somebody in the secondary, and maybe they could still go out and get a safety. But this is a premier talent at cornerback. And while we are here, we will continue to watch Twitter. If any of you guys see it, we want to hear what the terms of the deal are. But this is a premier talent. Lamar Jackson knows that because he went up in practice against him while they were at Louisville together. And so this really opens things up. The downside of Jaire Alexander is obviously his injury history. I think both the last 2 years, he hasn't played more than 7 games. Okay, so that's why I am interested to see what this contract looks like. Is this a 1-year deal? Is this a long-term deal? Is this, hey, you're not even putting much, there's not much risk here because the money isn't too bad. So I'm sure that will come up over the next however minutes we're sitting here to know what they're paying. But between Chido and Jaire, obviously, if they do have some injuries in there, they don't need to play as many snaps, right? They don't need that. The Ravens have so many guys that they can rotate. And to your point, this really opens things up with Marlon Humphrey. If Chido isn't, feeling well, there's Jaire. If Jaire's not feeling well, then you can bring in Chido. And so anytime somebody's feeling even the least bit of strain on a muscle or whatever, they can rest them. They can rest them because now they have depth. You can put Marlon in the slot now. If you get another safety, you can play with Derek Hamilton a little bit in the slot, a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage too. Kyle Hamilton there in the slot. And so it just gives you so much depth. And so you'd hope between all these corners, you'll have enough healthy at the same time that things will pan out well. But this, before we even knew that they signed, we said this is a marriage that is just made to happen. There's just so much good behind it. And the Ravens are clearly in a win now mode. They're trying to shore up every single potential weakness to go on this run.
How's that for a little bit of breaking news for you on this Wednesday mid-live stream? Jaire Alexander's a Baltimore Raven if you're just tuning in. And my, oh my, the Ravens teased us a little bit, didn't they? Prior to this,
they sure did.
with a little tweet that came in the form of this right here, sliding to the Ravens with the purple devilish emoji. And then, of course, the content started pouring in. But all that matters now is that these 3 were together, and Jaire has gone pen to paper, your newest Baltimore Ravens. So,
and Bobby, wouldn't you agree that this pushes Chido Bay to CB4?
Yeah. I mean, if TJ Tampa wants to make a play at that throughout summer, let's open that competition up. But certainly on paper, given Chido's experience and the familiarity that the Ravens have with him based on his AFC North past in Cincy, you'd have to think that that'd be the case. And hey, again, can't stress it enough that Jaire's setback in recent years has been his health. as we've mentioned a couple times now. He's played more than 7 games in a season just once over the last 4 seasons. So he's got to get that shored up. But he clearly was an interested party on the receiving end here and got to Baltimore in a hurry. It's only been about a little over a week since Green Bay released him, and now he's a Raven. So this is the reality. Eric DeCosta continues, Sarah, in recent seasons to cook and understand the sense of urgency that they're in a win now mode. And this is temporary. And this window is here. We've mentioned
Bobby, the money's in. Now. The money's in. It's a good deal.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I'll pull it up right now.
Go.
I got you.
Oh, you got it already?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Well, go ahead.
All right. Jeremy Fowler. Here we go. Let me blow it up. New Ravens cornerback Jaire Alexander is signing for $6 million in total. There could be some incentives in there then. Okay. I don't know if that's the base deal. Chance to reestablish his value on a 1-year deal. Let me tell you why this is good for Jaire and the Ravens. We know why it's good for the Ravens. You just got more depth. You got a guy that your quarterback loved. You just made your franchise quarterback even happier. You've got an outside guy. Now you can play with Marlon Humphrey in and out. We know why it's good for the Ravens. Here's why it's good for Jaire. He has had 2 injury-ridden seasons. And the Packers were reportedly trying to sign him nonstop, as you pointed out. Jeff Zrebeck saying the Ravens were one of those teams. Ravens stayed patient for whatever they were trying to ask for, didn't have to pay anything, and won't have to give up a comp pick because he was cut. Plus, it's after the comp pick deadline. And so Jaire clearly didn't have a market despite his premier talent. So you come into Baltimore for a year on a championship team where they can protect your body a little bit. If you don't have to put things on the line. If you're feeling sore, if you feel like something's tight, you don't have to push a hamstring or whatever. You can be on a team that's going to be on prime time. You can be on a team that's in the playoffs. You're going to be on a team that's playing almost all the playoff teams from last year. You can put the league on notice, Jaire Alexander, with a healthy season and playing at a top level like you've been doing, and say to the league, now I want to get paid. I get why you didn't pay me after those 2 years in 23 and 24, but now with a potential championship run on my back, and I stayed healthy, now I can turn this into a big deal. That's good for Jaire. A 1-year, $6 million deal for the Ravens? Yeah, we'll take that. EDC's cooking.
The DeCosta slander's got to stop. If there's slander out there, make it stop, because he's been pushing all the right buttons. And here you have it. Again, the second piece of breaking news, as Sarah just noted. It's a 1-year, $6 million deal with the Ravens for cornerback Jaire Alexander that puts their secondary in a position, Sarah, to start just a litany of former first-round picks. I mean, we're talking about Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, Jaire Alexander, Kyle Hamilton, and Malachi Starks. Every single one of those players, a former first-round pick. And all but Wiggins and Malachi, second year and rookie, respectively, have earned all-pro honor. So a lot of merchandise, but a lot of resume boosting among all of them. A lot of hardware, I should say, is what I was looking for. So that's your breaking news. And breaking news, is it ever? Goodness.
Wow.
Should we get back to Super Chat?
Well, what's funny, Bobby, yes, we get them started. What's funny is we started the opening topic of how the Ravens offense is even looking more scary, given Lamar and his immediate chemistry with DeAndre Hopkins. And now on the second half of the show, they just bolstered their secondary, which was absolutely needed, but it wasn't with some Joe Schmo, okay? Last year, maybe a little bit after this time, the Ravens were signing Eddie Jackson right to the secondary. I mean, Jaire Alexander is another level, especially if he can stay healthy. If he stays healthy, now the defense is starting to hit that scary mode.
Super Chat, StrayDog679 says, hashtag Sarah Sundays. This was well before the Jaire news just dropped. I see you play with some New Zealand coins, Sarah, for you.
Marina Wanau. Heart emoji, purple heart emoji. Hope everyone's having a good Thursday. Alofa Flock family.
Hope you guys are having, or we're having a good Wednesday. Hopefully you out in New Zealand are having a good Thursday.
There you go.
Adam Legend writes, y'all should check out Mina Kimes' top 10 offenses video. She has a great analogy for the differences between the Roman and Monken offense. Ravens are number 1, by the way, which is certainly not a surprise. Appreciate you on the tip there, Adam. Oh, let's see. This is a new one. Log JR, Log Jr. or Log JR 50 with a $50 super chat that I'm going with as salmon colored.
Somebody in the chat said magenta, and I pulled that up, and it really is magenta. I'll show it in just a second. He says, I need Jaire Alexander on the Ravens. Keep Marlon in the slot. Well, you got it. You got it.
Yeah, this must have been right at the start of our Jaire Alexander segment. That's what's so funny about this news, Sarah, that we were kind of late to getting to Jaire because we had so much to discuss that the news dropped almost perfectly when we transitioned topics. Like, think about that. So
it's magenta. Look at that.
Well, which one?
The one to the left. It's a little bit deeper, but it's magenta.
Far left?
Far left. You can even go far right. That's magenta.
It's, if anything, it's closer to far right, which I think is very similar to what you had on that second square on the left-hand side on the previous one. But we're not going to harp on this. Thank you to Log for a 50 spot. I have a feeling that as we start to scroll here, since you and I have been so focused on getting everybody caught up to speed on Jaire, that we've missed a lot of runs that's been happening here. So let's figure out what's coming up next. Jang is a channel member and says, Bobby, I was actually encouraging people to meet up at PHP's tailgate. I think that's what I was referring to, right? The Detroit-Baltimore game, right? Monday Night Football, Jang. I think we're on the same page. Thank you for the clarification and super chat. Wildlife Wale, Sarah, is chiming in on the color scheme.
Wildlife is with you. It's salmon with 3 exclamation points.
And one note from Jeff, it's 1 year, $4 million for Jaire, could be worth up to $6 million. So that's just sort of
keeps getting better.
The nuance.
Which we knew because when we read Jeremy Fowler's, he said in total $6 million. So I was like, okay, that's incentives. What's the base? And the base is $4 million.
Correct. The agent is giving it to the national reporter, and they want it to look as good as it can. Well, guess what? The Ravens are making it look even better now.
That's what you call a steal, Bobby.
Yeah.
$4 million for who will probably start at corner a few times, depending on, if they put out 3 corners.
Wow.
Okay. And if he gets injured, it's $4 million.
Wow.
Like, it's okay.
No kidding. Unbelievable. Let's see. Rave Kingdom for you.
He says, this sounds like a promo, but I'll explain on my channel on YouTube, weight loss journey. Oh, yeah. Sure. Nice. Promote yourself. You lost 150 pounds? And how many months did he say?
Yeah. It was like 4 months. It's incredible. Thanks, Rave. And congratulations again. Nuruddin says, aiming to take my nieces to their first Ravens game versus the Texans this year. One's thinking about going to college in Pittsburgh. So got to lock in her fandom beforehand. Probably a good decision because if you go to Pittsburgh and you don't know anything about football, you're probably going to fall in love with the culture there. Mike M. Sarah is a channel member and with another super chat for us.
He says, Bobby, about those Bobby, about those dance moves.
Yes, that was a re-story that I posted to my Instagram account last night. We're going to Saratoga Performing Arts Center for a concert this weekend, and my best friend from home decided to pull out a receipt of me dancing a few summers ago, and it got a little bit of reaction on IG, so you can go check it out if you'd like. James Green, who's celebrating 3 months of channel membership, writes, if Mark makes the catch, there is no discussion. And P. Brownie, Sarah, is celebrating 1 month of channel membership.
He says, what is the definition of insanity, Bobby? Mark, as Sarah has displayed, is not clutching the playoffs. The Ravens are in sight of a Super Bowl run.
I know what the definition of insanity is. Joe Jenkins says, y'all might have to send PHP a 1099 form for tax reasons. Just kidding. PHP, you're an awesome person. Go Ravens and go O's. And Sarah, something's telling me that I think he's not done yet based on what's coming up. But we certainly reiterate Joe's comments for sure. PHP is unbelievably generous, as so many of you are in this space as well. God King, Sarah, with the first in reaction to today's breaking news.
He said, one time for Jaire Alexander.
Wildlife Wale. This is about 20 minutes now when we were reacting live to Jaire Alexander, and Wildlife says, let's go. OJ Pimpson. OJ says, yes, sir. Not a fan, with a channel membership and a super chat as well.
He said, Lamar was taking this picture while we waited on him to come to the podium for 10 minutes yesterday. He knew the whole time. It's time to slip and slide.
You get the
he
sense.
Probably did know.
You get the sense that's the case, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Which makes Eric look so good, right? Just in terms of the chronological order of events. Like this friendship, this partnership between Lamar and Eric continues to be flexed. WT Edits writes, the game I'm going to go to with my sister is going to be the Thanksgiving game. Okay, so that's Ravens-Bengals. But oh my God, I'm going crazy as a Raven and Cards fan, meaning Louisville Cardinals. Nate, Marlo, Jaire, Tampa, we need it, y'all. We need it. And Sarah, a red banner comes flying in. That's a $100 spot from Park Heights Profit. In addition to the gifts that he's given, in addition to the super chats he's given, he drops in a hundo for you.
Oh, I feel honored because somehow it keeps happening where I get to read PHP's super chats. This is his third one, and it just happens to land for me to read it. He says, Jaire is in the building. Santa Clara is up and stuck. Extensions for the King. Number 2 for Bait. We got Starks, Mike Green, and now this? Unlike the Orioles, the Ravens are all in. The future is shaped by those who attack today. Yesterday is over, and we move.
I love the way you read it.
How did I do, PHP?
Well done on the reading, and thank you, Park Heights Profit, for your friggin' continued generosity. You may not have been around the last week or so because you've been busy, but when you come in here, you do not miss. Thank you, brother. Not a fan says, and to think it's Ravens fans that hate on EDC. God King writes, I'm on the moon. Let's go. Julian Chambers, Sarah, checking in.
So it wasn't just one. He did 2. Julian Chambers says, OMG, 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 slapping the cheeks, jaw to the ground emojis times a million. He says, we got him. Okay, I'm calm. Anyways, hi, guys. Hashtag Super Bowl bound.
What's up, Jewel? I know you're enjoying this one. Everybody is. Draydog679 says, three cornerbacks coming off injuries makes me nervous. That is something that obviously is a risk that they're taking with Jaire. But given the numbers that we now know about, Sarah, 1 year for $4 million with the incentives to get to 6, there really isn't a whole lot of risk in this whatsoever, given what the reward could be if Jaire ends up being healthy. Gold Coins 119.0 with a super chat.
You think this is like OBJ signing? Sign someone Lamar wants to entice him to do extension talks? I don't think so. I think they were already talking. But maybe. I mean, it doesn't hurt to make your franchise quarterback happy. But this was a need. And the Ravens typically sign on defense. They do get free agents on defense. They spend on defense. And this is a typical Ravens signing in terms of just waiting and being patient and getting somebody that's cut and then paying him peanuts in cap terms.
Over 3,700 concurrents right now. Big boost because of the Jaire Alexander signing. So please like the video if you're just joining us. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. We're so glad you're here. We're reacting to Jaire Alexander's news as we have been the last 20 minutes or so, and we're finally getting caught up on super chats and gifts. Lewis writes, PHP, when I see you in Lot G, I am running through the fence for you now. That's Lewis. As he's a channel member, and he's loving what PHP is all about. I have Horace Taurus with just a bunch of emojis. I can't even tell what they are, but the guy's fired up. I know that for sure. I literally can't even tell because they're so small.
Is that a bottle or Elmer's glue? I don't know.
It might be oil. I don't even know. But how about this? Who's calling me right now? I may need to take this, Sarah, because it's a certain player's rep. I kid you not. It's a certain player's rep.
I know who you're talking about. Yes, let me shoot. Let me find where you were. But yes, go ahead.
This could be a good call for us. I'll be right back.
Okay. Did he mute himself? He sure did. Okay, Bobby is in the works of trying to book somebody for us. This will be one of those interviews we put out while we go dark during the 4th of July week. Okay, I'm caught up. Okay, so Manuel says, LFG, EDC being a beast for Lamar. Hashtag big trust. This is a win now window for sure. Deshaun Davis. I love Jaire Alexander. He's one of my top 5 favorite players. Such a fun, carefree vibe, but business on the field. Everyone's in for some entertainment. Amen. Sherry says, now we conquer. Wildlife Wale says, we're going to get to Alexander a little later. That aged well. That's so true. The timing of this literally couldn't have been better for the Vault. Like, we teed it up for the second half of the show. Literally, as the topic is beginning, that tweet from the Ravens, the cryptic tweet of everyone sliding to the Ravens, came in right as Bobby was starting the topic. And then they made the news after we had just played Lamar's quote from yesterday. Like, the timing couldn't have been better. It surely did age well. Wildlife. My Nizzle J Jizzle says, that's crazy how the news came as soon as y'all started covering Lamar's comments saying, go get him, Eric. It's so true. Sherry Miller with a 20 spot. I'm going to have to write this down because Bobby's got the tally as he continues to try to book us a player guest here. I'm going to write down 20 so that we know. Sherry, thank you so much for your 20 gifted memberships. Chris B. Everyone sees color differently. Devices, corrective lenses, and naturally, let's go purple and black. Well, that's a good point, Chris. That's a good point. Okay, Rafike Tucker says, Jaire Alexander signed. Lamar speaks and things happen. Let's go. Who is this? DVL Dog says, let's go Ravens. Jeff Zrebeck just tweeted, it's 1 year, $4 million. For Jaire, could have gotten more elsewhere, but wanted to reunite with Lamar. Lock down secondary. Thank you, dog. Justin Holt, Jaire. Fire emoji times 3. EDC is cooking. MCB 1986 says, I bet the extension is there already. They just doing what they do. LOL. In EDC, we trust. I think he's talking about the extension of Lamar Jackson. I also think that might be the case. Joe Jenkins says, one more comment for today. I'll make mine easy. I'm a tightwad. My color is light green. Thank you. So I don't have to argue about it. Just kidding with y'all. Love Flock Nation, O's and PBA. Douglas H. Brown Sr., this is why you two are the best. Great news and great times, Bobby and Sarah. PHP is back. He is now a member for 3 months, one of the OGs for when the membership started. He said, yes, per Jang, Lot G, Voltron meetup for the Detroit game. Scotch, cigars, hamburgers, hot dogs, smoked pork, tenderloins. Oh, that sounds good. Maybe fried fish. I would also like that. If Lamar's extension hits soon, the super chat and gifts will be unreal. See, now you're just toying with us here, PHP, because it already feels unreal to me. So how you could take it up another notch, I don't even want to try to imagine. Bobby, how did it go? We're at 4,000, by the way.
Very well. You're going to want to tune in tomorrow at 12:30.
Woo-wee! You got it during our live. You got it during our live. There we go.
I'm feeling a little positive rant right now, by the way.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
It's a positive rant. All right. And I people are like, oh no, I hope he doesn't do what he did yesterday. No, I don't think it was too over the top yesterday. First of all, you and I have a couple things to discuss before I go on this rant. One, how are you on time? I just canceled Carly.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Well,
I asked for a reschedule. I know I went and did that without asking you, but I'm going to have to go into hyperdrive mode after this.
I got you.
So I'm sorry for making the executive decision. Are you okay with?
I'm okay with it. I just don't know when I can put it back in.
Okay.
My schedule.
The good news is you don't necessarily need to be a part of it, but we obviously want you to.
The live behind the scenes chats that we always have, but go ahead.
This happens during the season a lot, right? Just when things start to happen. But I got to tell you right now, just reiterate something we've said a million times. I am so jacked up by what we're building right now. This is the most momentum we have ever had, the most fulfillment, the most growth, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. I'm not going to go on a crazy rant because we have more super chats, and that's what's important. But Tune in tomorrow at 12:30. We have a brand new guest that's coming up, and I just heard from their representation. I'm really excited about it. So where are we?
We made it all the way to PHP in the super chats. We've got about 3 more. Why don't I just keep going here?
Yeah.
Daryl Johnson with a $4.99 super sticker. Thank you, Daryl. We appreciate you. Kobe Pruitt. Go ahead, Bobby.
Kobe writes, does this open up an opportunity for Armour Davis or TJ Tampa to get reps at safety to bolster our depth there? Jalen already is during the final session of OTA. Zach Orr spoke about that. TJ Tampa, I think, is going to stick at corner. But we'll have to see if JAD finds his way onto this roster, Sarah, as a veteran who's entering the final year of his rookie deal, who's been injury-plagued really throughout all of his time so far as a Raven. Could he sneak his way onto the 53 because of what he showcases at safety over the next couple months? That remains to be seen.
My understanding, listening to Film Study Kemi Cusick, he's there at every single practice, is they've already kind of moved away from JAD at safety.
Gotcha. Then in that case, he's going to be you'd have to think he's a bubble player, especially with Jaire signing.
He's definitely a bubble. Yeah.
I think
maybe.
Ian Ajabo could very well be on the outside looking in, but there's a lot left to be said over the next couple months.
They have a lot of competition coming up.
Yeah.
Here's the DVL dog again. He says, oh, here we go. It's just devil dog, Sarah. Oh, okay. I'm a Marine Corps vet. LOL. I've been away for off season too much pain after the playoff loss. Missed you all. Well, we missed you too. So now we know, Bobby, that's devil dog.
Love that. And I love this story too. Appreciate you, devil dog.
More keep coming in here. Tila had gifted 5 memberships. So I think she's up to 15. Oh, and Bobby, while you're out, you have to add that 5. And then there was 20.
What?
From 4. Yeah. 20 from
Sherry. Okay, but you already hit those gifts though.
Well, I didn't have you tallied in though. You were on the phone. So you got to add 25 to your list.
Okay. Sherry got us from 848 to 868, and now 873 is where we currently stand. 900 is in the cards. Thank you to Sherry, and thank you to Tila. 873 channel Voltrons. That brings us to Douglas H. Brown Sr. with a $5 super chat. He says, I am so excited about being a part of this, which gets me fired up. By the way, I had one of those moments a couple minutes ago where I was like, you don't need to start screaming for minutes on minutes on minutes. But just know, I really want to be screaming for minutes on minutes on minutes positively about everything that's happening right now, because it feels like there's a perfect storm in the best of ways. So thank you to Douglas for being on board.
And then the last one to catch up on is Guy Williams III. He says the depth is crazy. Marlon playing slot, Wiggins, Jaire outside, Awuzie mixed in, Starks, Kyle in the back. Jaire can play safety too. Bring Kyle up as a joker.
A lot to like about that breakdown right there. And that gets us finally up to speed on all things super chats and gifts. We have over 4,200 concurrents at the moment. So please like the video on your way in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. Nuno is celebrating 3 months of channel membership. And he says, I came late and we signed Jaire. Let's go. There's a lot of that today, and there's a lot of room for excitement, Sarah. Back to quick hits we go. We have more super chats that are coming in, but we've got to get to quick hits and obviously stick to timing as best as we can, even though that feels like it's been out of the window. We've been going 90 minutes strong. Just practice notes from day 1 of mandatory minicamp. But, oh, by the way, there's day 2 content to come still today. It already feels like we're already through day 2, Sarah, but that's not the case. There's going to be media sessions coming up later. There's going to be a practice. There's going to be everything. And so from day 1, as you mentioned off the top, it was perfect participation from who was expected to be there. Now, perhaps a pleasant surprise given his ankle injury from a week ago, Bo Braid was among those participating. Emory Jones, the rookie, continues to deal with his shoulder, sidelined. And Ardarius Washington with the Achilles tear is trying to work his way back over the next several months, not expected to be back until the latter half of the season. And that might be obviously a lofty timeline for him. So that's that. And then some other notes, Sarah, a lot of whom we've been speaking about in recent days. Jeff Zarebek, Jonas Schaefer, unloading their note pages from day 1. There were quite a few interceptions at practice yesterday. TJ Tampa made a juggling pick in the end zone on Cooper Rush. Jonas referred to it as the best defensive play of the day, winning a jump ball versus Dayton Wade in the end zone and tipping the interception to himself. So good stuff there for TJ. Obviously, the
Mhm.
cornerback room just changed within the last hour or so, really within the last 30 minutes. After that, Ruben Lowry, he's an undrafted free agent out of Tennessee Chattanooga at the cornerback position. He's been making a lot of plays. He took a ball away from Dayton Wade. Trenton Simpson picked off Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, it was a short pass. Jonas thought that it was intended, and targeting Lamar was DeAndre Hopkins. So it's funny. You and I were just talking about Trenton the other day, and he's been popping so far early on in mandatory minicamp.
I was just
But
about
now
to say we talked about Simpson there, and you were like, who's going to have the edge in this inside linebacker competition? That certainly bodes well for him. And also for TJ Tampa, who you mentioned there, because he hadn't been sticking out too much during OTAs. And so he's got to separate himself. But listen, now he's definitely pushed back. He's like cornerback 5 now. So that was good for him. But with Awuzie and obviously Jaire Alexander now, TJ Tampa may not be seeing the field too much.
Yeah, it's just an embarrassment of riches. And what was once sort of a thin secondary, even though they are still thin at safety, does not feel like it looms as large as it did maybe 30 minutes ago or so. Speaking of looming large, Sarah, it's so early, and we want to reiterate that. Pads have not come on. It's day 2, literally, as we speak, of mandatory minicamp, and yet somewhat of a disturbing trend is starting to form here. There's a legitimate kicking competition going on in Baltimore this summer. Tyler Loop is the day 3 pick out of Arizona at the kicker position. John Hoyland is his his competitor mate. He's an undrafted free agent out of Wyoming. Throughout OTAs there up until this point, they've been on a rotation. One kicker handles duties one day, the other the next. As far as yesterday, Jeff noting that Tyler went 2 for 4 during the team period. He missed a PAT and a 42-yarder. He converted from 43 and 45. Hoyland, a perfect 4 for 4. Doesn't have the specific lengths, though, in terms of distance. A couple of veterans, including Lamar and Pat Ricard, approached Tyler Loop to encourage him after he missed, and John Harbaugh pulled him aside as well. So I'm sure plenty of pep talks occurred there. But Sarah, I'm sure you're caught up to speed from the OTAs that you missed while you were gone. This is somewhat of a trend. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was about to say this is a game they always play on Get Up after bad games. They're like, they say bad game or bad sign. So it's kind of here. Is this a bad practice or a bad sign? Well, the fact that it's happened a couple practices, that it is not a great sign. I can say that. It's not like he's, jumping out the way, say, Malachi Starks is. And obviously this is a 5th rounder versus a 1st rounder. But this is the first drafted kicker in Ravens franchise history. I mean, a 5th rounder on a kicker means that he was the first kicker taken. So that means you're supposed to be the best. And so he's not jumping out to a great start. I would love to hear from, the special teams coaches and this and that. Is it just an adjustment? Are they just trying to is he just trying to get his footing as he, comes into the pros? Are they experimenting with things? Who knows what's going on? Because we don't have much of a background of what he is in the NFL. We know what he was in college, but to be missing a PAT, and then this wasn't like 50 yards. I feel like the reports from before is a couple of misses were from 50 and beyond, but being inside the 50 and an extra point, that's not a great start.
We had his special teams coach on weeks back, and he raved about him as a player, as most collegiate folks would about their talent that just made it to the National Football League. The Ravens have raved about his leg. He made from 62 last year at Arizona. But while we got good context on Tyler Loop in terms of what led to some of the misses, a lot of which was mechanical with a new long snapper, and just the whole operation was new. Accuracy had been something that was slipping since his rookie year. And so it's just something to watch. It's very early, but the days, as I keep saying, of getting up and feeling like you can go to the bathroom or get a snack during PATs and or field goals when number 9 is out there, they're long over, Sarah, for the time being. And that's just the reality of Justin Tucker no longer being a Raven. So I don't think there'll be another positional battle. I'm air quoting that because I don't know if there's really a battle to be had, being that they literally, you would think, will give Tyler every chance to earn this position, being that they drafted him.
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to bringing in John Hoyland as an undrafted rookie, as we've said. But I don't know if there'll be something more compelling to watch how this unfolds throughout the next couple months, aside from this. Elsewhere, Jamison Hensley, pool reporter, ESPN.com, presented Lamar with the Pro Football Writers of America 2024 NFL MVP. It's the third time he's received the honor. And, oh, by the way, the elephant in the room, he receives it despite Josh Allen having won the Associated Press version, which is the official MVP award. Jamison presented him with the trophy yesterday at the media scrum. And Sarah, your guy Scott, that you continue to bring in, had a little bit of fun with him.
Scott makes me laugh. Yeah. So obviously he won this award. It was announced back in January, I believe, but they presented it to him yesterday. And Scott Kaczmar says he won everything but the quote-unquote official MVP award, all because of few people like Acho Orlovsky, Chris Sims, and Jim Miller. And I think Lindsey Jones also from The Ringer. Those are the 5 we know about, but I think there were 2 more that voted for him to be the first team All-Pro quarterback, but then changed the MVP vote, so they all switched up. So he's not letting it go, and clearly neither am I.
And finally, KVN checking in off his 72-hour water fast from last week. You see here he is. We're rocking that number 53 at day 1 of mandatory camp, and he tweeted out, "The new helmet makes me fast." Is that a play on words? Ramey thought so. Ramey's like, definitely that water fast. LOL. And KVN's going back and forth. And then his podcast partner, Gerald McCoy, former NFLer himself, darn good one too, said, "Water fast makes you fast." And Kyle's like, hella fast. He's a freaking goofball. KVN and Gerald, the McCoy and Van Noy show, Yahoo Sports. We use a lot of them in season. I look forward to that picking back up at some point in the near future. So KVN looking slick, doesn't he?
He is looking slick and slim.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what happens when you don't eat.
I know, seriously. Rave Kingdom, can you tell us your secret, please? Let us know. We left off with Nuno, and we picked things back up with Holly. Holly says, who's also celebrating 1 month of channel membership, "To be a part of this community is unmatched. It's incredible. Appreciate you, Bobby and Sarah, more than you'll know.
Oh,
Big things ahead for the vault." Thank you, Holly. And again, she just graduated college, so a lot of change on the horizon, I'm sure, for Holly, but never seems to miss a show, and we never, ever discount that. We appreciate you, Holly, very much. Chris has gifted an additional, on top of what she's already done today, 5 channel Voltron memberships. Sarah, that brings us to 878, so 900 closing in. And Levinson with a $2 super chat.
he says, how long do we have till the season? Can't wait. Probably said like Bart Scott.
This does kind of feel like one of those shows, Sarah, that's just, we could go for another hour and people wouldn't want to leave. There's 4,700 concurrents at the moment, and it's 1:45 on a Wednesday in June. Thank you. Thank you so much for making this possible. Thank you so much.
Well, and it's cool that they do it during mandatory minicamp, because then he can get the full feel of the whole team, right? Like they were all there. It wasn't like an empty or a half empty practice facility.
Totally.
Like they're all there. He can go to practice today. I mean, he probably won't suit up, but he'll go check it out, and maybe he'll go to practice tomorrow.
Totally. Clinton Ganaway, a channel member. "Sunday, my little bro messaged saying the Bucks need Jaire. I told him he'd be a Raven. Thanks to Lamar. 1 for $5 or $6 mil, which is 4 with the incentives up to 6.
Mm-hmm.
In a, quote, I ain't dead yet deal." Yeah, I mean, literally, Jaire is out to prove, probably not to himself, but to this league, Sarah, as you articulated earlier on, that he is still, when healthy, and if he can sustain health, one of the best cover corners in this entire league. We'll see if he gets a chance to do that, should he be available. Joy Walker, a channel member with a super chat.
Joy says, "This is amazing how blessed this channel is. I'm loving life, and Bobby and Sarah and PCP." Is that PHP? "And our Voltron fam."
Yeah, you speak for both of us, I think, Joy. I really do. It's an amazing community that you guys have helped us form. We're just the ones going about our business. You guys make the community what it is. James Green with a
magenta
salmon/magenta, okay, super chat, which means it's a 50 spot.
That's right.
And James writes, with Jaire, we might see more corner or safety blitzes. Maybe. Dial it up. I'm sure Mike McDonald somewhere like, damn, they couldn't get him when I was there. Bro Flacco is celebrating this is yours, but Bro Flacco is celebrating 1 month of channel membership. We appreciate you, Bro Flacco, and it's a super chat as well.
Was on break, and once I saw the news, I had to come celebrate. EDC is in his bag right now. Also, congrats on the channel growth. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Jang writes, Bobby, I saw your story at a concert last night. Can you tell us more about that? All right, screw it. One more thing is just a quick little screen share. We do have to go at some point. But by the way, Jang, this is not last night. This was my best friend resharing a post from the summer of 2022. Sarah, what's ironic about this video that I'm about to show you, a couple things. One, as you know, we had just started our talks in the spring of 2022 to potentially form a partnership. I was a month removed, not even, from a breakup, and I was a couple months removed from being let go by the Ravens radio stations in
It's
town.
probably the lowest I've seen you, and it was when I first met you.
Correct. And when you see this video, you're going to be like, how? How did he channel that kind of energy? Because we went to, wait for it, a Train concert. Not exactly where you're going to find young single women. A Train concert at Saratoga Performing Arts Center. My buddy Anthony had just been played by a girl that he was talking to, and I was reeling. So what do? We formed dance circles in the middle of Saratoga Performing Arts, and he, for whatever reason, because we're going back this weekend for the Mumford & Sons concert, decided to randomly repost this video on my Instagram. Here it is. That's Ray Rice with Preston Automotive Group, but this is Bobby in 2022.
I feel like I remember that. No, 2022. When did we start? Oh my gosh, look at you, man.
Watch that white boy work. I know that I can't.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And by the way, as I noted here, I was in the middle of a 6-month booze cleanse. Some folks thought that I was a little out of my mind. No, I was dead sober in this moment, forming a dance circle,
See, and
doing
I met
a little
you
bit of
in
wedding
that booze
crashers,
cleanse.
a little bit of Vince Vaughn wedding crashers, getting after it. These girls are looking, hey, how you guys doing? So that's how it goes. It's coming back on Saturday. Maybe, just maybe, I will relive and try and one-up myself coming up this weekend.
I love how the sunglasses are falling to the tip of your nose and you just leave it.
Oh yeah. I was about all in. So that is what Jang references from my Instagram story. We'll see. Tune in. Stay tuned for more this weekend. Cameron Walker.
Bobby does not need liquid courage. I can tell you guys all that right now.
You know it.
Yeah.
Cameron Walker.
Cameron says we let Brennan Stevens go and ended up with Jaire Alexander. Won't he do it? Thought I was hyped before, but now we got to go. It's time.
Appreciate you, Cam. Why do I feel like Park Heights Profit's about to do something reckless right now? We are at 878 total Voltrons as channel members. And PHP drops a 5 spot to say how far from 1,000 Voltrons with 1,000 question marks at the end of his question. 878. We're closing in on it. Chris B, Sarah, with a channel, as a channel member, drops in a $2 super chat.
For those that need math help, that's 122 away.
Thank you.
Chris B says, let's all stick around till 9 p.m. I think my kids who keep knocking on my door would disagree.
I'm sure they do. They got to be wondering
take
what
them to the pool or something here.
They must think it's in season. Kobe says, considering Jaire was in the building to sign the deal today, it makes sense why Lamar was so confident in saying the Ravens were out for vengeance. It's all got to be.
Yeah.
Sarah, there's a reason why he was so giddy yesterday. I mean,
when he says, go get him. Go. I mean, who asked the question? I think it was Jeff. Jeff couldn't even finish the sentence saying, hey, the Packers let go of a cornerback, and then Lamar interrupts. Go get him, EDC.
Yeah.
Go get him.
Yeah.
Bobby, after dark, you could be back around 8 or 9 p.m. though, maybe.
You never know. So part of the reason why, one, I knew we were going to go live. I knew we were going to go long here. So we had to be respectful to our design team. We in full transparency, we had a 2:00 meeting with our design teams because we're rolling out our merch line and we're hoping to get that up and running by training camp. So I knew we were going to go long, and then I knew I'm going to go live as soon as I get the audio only up. So that was really the thinking behind that. But yes, we're going to have to get creative to get you involved in the follow-up meeting. So anyway, it's just, hey, this is how it goes. And so glad this is happening now rather than when we go rogue, which is coming up next week. Just so everyone's aware, we'll talk about this a number of times between now and then, but just because we have an audience right now, Sarah and I are extending our annual remote off the grid vacation a couple extra days. I'm going to Asia to visit my brother. You're going to be on a lake with your kids, and it begins on Wednesday, the 25th. We will not have live content from June 25th through July 6th. We will be back on July 7th.
I will be back. You have one more day, right?
Correct. Yeah, yes. I will be. I'm taking.
I will be out Friday, and then you will be out July 7th. But I'll restart it on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot coming up, and again, we just want to continue to reiterate that none of this really happens at the clip that it is without your enthusiasm out there in the audience, because this has just been an exceptional display of support that we've seen really for 3 years running now, but it's starting to get ramped up, and we feel it. We really, really feel it every single day. Kevin Jackson and Kai, thank you both for believing in what we're building. This is your monthly shout out because of the support that you give us on a monthly basis due to your commitment through Patreon. So thank you both. We appreciate you both. And if you guys are interested in doing the same, you can visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. Anything else from you before we jump?
Well, we have several more super chats that just came in. And I do notice this happened yesterday, by the way, in the regular comments of YouTube, and I'm seeing it in the live chat. When we're up on big screen and we don't have a slide or a video, people see my eyes more than normal, and I'll be side-eyeing like this right here while you're talking, and they want to know what I'm looking at. So it's a variety of things. It's my computer screen. I'm checking in on Twitter. I'm checking in on my notes, and I'm checking in on live chat. So one of those three things, if my eyes are to the side, that's what I'm looking at.
Oh, just so everyone knows on that note, my left, your right is the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's just how it goes, multitasking. Okay, Park Heights Prophet has another one for us, a $10 super chat, and he writes, okay, let's hit 1,000 with the guest on tomorrow. And I think you guys are going to appreciate who it is. And seeing Lamar's joy when dapping up Jaire, mixed with his need for vengeance, a special season. 20-0 is possible if you believe. 20 wins for year 30. Park Heights Prophet speaking it into existence. Joe Jenkins with a $5 super chat. And as we've mentioned a couple times, he's a channel member.
The group train is awesome. I'm friends with former guitarist Jimmy Stafford. I'll send you pics on email if you want to see them. Sure, Joe Jenkins.
Heck yeah. You guys know how it goes, right? BaltimoreRavensVault at gmail.com. That's where you can hit us up. The Discord's been jumping as well. Money Marble writes, what number do you think Jaire will wear? Also, I'm calling it now. Tampa's going to be a major factor in this secondary. That's a bold statement after Jaire is signed, but he has had a good start to spring, Sarah.
Yes, there would need to be some injuries, a couple of injuries for Tampa to even get the chance. And then with that chance, you would then have to play big.
God King says we're going to be lost without our vault. Dang. So the plan is, and we're getting tight. So this is subject to change, but the plan is to try and produce and release some pre-recorded content for you guys that can drop on some of the days that we're out at the same time. We will not be live from June 20. Mark your calendars accordingly, because I think this is going to hit some people and be like, where are you guys?
Yeah.
June 25th. And I'll send out a community post. You will be notified of what our plans are. But June 25th to July 6th, we are off. And we need to be off. we need a little bit of time to gear up for what I'm sure is going to be an incredible, spectacular 6+ months. So, yeah, I can't wait for it. John, my Vietnam visa was just accepted this morning. And a lot of the travel clothes that I got from Amazon have come in. And I'm excited. So I know you are as well.
Yep, absolutely. I can't. Well, we need to talk about that more later, but we're almost 2 hours here.
We have so much to discuss. Oh my gosh. Just boatloads of gratitude. Thank you so much for a fantastic show. some things just fall into place. And it felt like that today with the Jaire Alexander news dropping as soon as we really began the segment. Be on the lookout for a completely separate post coming up really shortly, within the next hour or two on Jaire. It's breaking news. We reacted to it instantly, and we'll have more, I'm sure, tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern. If you could on the way out, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we go live on a daily basis, which is 12 noon Eastern, and consider becoming a channel member, perhaps tomorrow, which will be a guest version of the Vault at 12:30, and reaction and analysis from today's day 2 of mandatory minicamp. Perhaps tomorrow, Sarah ends up becoming 1,000, leading you off into a long weekend of channel members. So we will see. With that, Dre Dog sends us off, and he says, have your editor do a top 10 best interviews. Maybe Brendan will have to do that. We'll have to see. Brendan's been doing awesome work for us. We appreciate him, and we appreciate all of you for just a fantastic show. That is almost 120 minutes for you. So in other words, we're out. Thanks to Baltimore County Golf for the support. Go hit them up on Instagram. You can go check out what they're offering to you, as well as just learn about the game of golf by clicking on the link that's included in the show notes, and also as a pinned comment. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Wednesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. We'll be back with you in well under 23 hours because we just gave you an extra hour. We'll talk to you then. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, we appreciate you for spending some time with us here inside the Vault. Talk to you soon.